Hello, and welcome to live programming at the More Freedom Foundation. This is a sort of bit of special bonus programming. It's extra. It's a surprise. This is not your usually scheduled live programming. Tomorrow I will be discussing China at some more length with a more prepared presentation. But I just, after a long day, I went into a pizza place and watched 20 minutes of CNN and got angry enough that I felt that I had to produce this video. Let me preface it by saying that I am the opposite of a supporter of Donald Trump. I support the Mueller investigation. I eagerly await their coming up with something, anything that is useful against Donald Trump. But I'd like to talk about what happened today specifically, which frankly I think is outrageous. Today we were treated to what was sold as, what is still being sold as, on the top of the New York Times website, on the top of the BBC. Actually, I think the BBC got a little embarrassed, but for most of the day, this was the top of their website as well, was supposed new Russia news. This is news, yes, I'm angry too. This was news that, surprise, Russia had purchased ads on social media. If you're at all familiar with this, you know that this is not news. This is not something, this is not a new development. But this is what we're talking about. This is what that small bit of oxygen, this is what that small bit of effort and time that a given person in the United States has to devote to news and international affairs, whatever little bit has been devoted once again for the millionth time to the same Russia news. And that's an important thing, and it's a real problem because, man, I'm trying to take myself seriously here, and the dogs are not. Get out of there. Get out of there. You want to go? You don't want to go? Dogs are good for evening the temper. And I am angry, and I should not be making videos angry, but it's tremendously frustrating. So the fact that our entire news budget, emotional budget for everybody in the United States has once again been absorbed by Russian news is a tragedy, because there's something very important and very hopeful happening right now. Last week, I've talked about it, the Senate took an historically unprecedented step to condemn the war in Yemen and to actually vote to take the United States out of it. The war in Yemen is being carried out. It's an invasion of Yemen by U.S. ally Saudi Arabia, and the United States is deeply, deeply complicit in this. It's a terrible, horrific thing, and it's something that could actually change. It's something that could actually bring about real change, not just in the Trump administration or whatever fight there is between Republicans and Democrats. Doing something against the war in Yemen would be an incredible thing for humanity. And it was tremendously exciting last week to look and see everybody finally on board with this, to see the US Senate, supposedly one of the most powerful institutions in the world, come down on the side of humanity and ending the horrific violence in Yemen. Now, Yemen is a place where there's real news happening. There's real things happening on the ground in Yemen right now. There's a ceasefire that's failing. There's a Saudi government that is reacting vociferously and angrily to the US Senate's condemnation of them over the Jamal Khashoggi killing, that is reacting negatively and vociferously to the fact that the US Senate has decided against participating any further in the war in Yemen. This is tremendously important stuff. This is stuff that has the potential for real progress, not in some partisan fight, but in the US's role in the world and making that more sane and better for the security of Americans and everybody in the world. And to see that get pushed off the news by the same, I'm trying not to swear here, I'm trying to keep from being a potty mouth, but to see this get pushed off of the front page of the New York Times, to see this get pushed off the top of every news website, to see this being silenced yet again on CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, to see this news just disappear again for the same Russian news that it's not news. It's not a new thing. The fact that Russia purchased social media ads to support Donald Trump's campaign is something that we have all known since mid-2016, since before the election. And it's been reinforced. It was reinforced when the indictment against the Internet Research Agency came out. It's been reinforced. This is not news. This was a research report that was published by the Senate that says literally nothing new. Basically, what they're running with is like, oh no, it wasn't just Facebook ads. It was also Instagram ads. And it's like, if anybody has any familiarity with sort of social media campaigns and how that works, that should not be news. Facebook and Instagram are the same goddamn company. So what this is an excuse for CNN, for MSNBC, for the New York Times, for BBC, for all of these news outlets to go away from covering something real, from covering something that really, really matters. The possibility of ending the suffering in Yemen, the possibility of saving millions of people from death by cholera and famine at the hands of the United States. That's what we were talking about. That's what we were talking about last week. That's really important stuff. What are we talking about today? How many tens of thousands of dollars Russia spent on a social media campaign to put a president in office. These are not important things. They are important things. Like I said, I support the Mueller investigation. I want to know exactly what happened in 2016. There's a Mueller investigation going. There's a Senate Judiciary Committee investigation going. Great, let's do it. Let's make it happen. But why, in God's name, are we covering the exact same news story that we've devoted multiple days and multiple weeks to for years? It's great. It's important, but there's nothing new here. There is nothing that is new to anybody who's paying attention. We could be paying attention to the fact that that the Yemen ceasefire is breaking down. We could be paying attention to the fact that Saudi Arabia just sort of snubbed the U.S. Senate. Instead, we're doing the same thing. And the thing is here, like, this is coming across as very angry, but I'm actually very hopeful. I'm at a very hopeful place. There are people in the United States with real power coming together to try to stop a horrible thing that the United States government is doing with Saudi Arabia. This is amazing. This is really, really exciting. Trump is a terrible, terrible president. But what has happened, because he's so bad, it's a real space has been opened where people can actually question what the US government has been doing. Like, how did they screw up policy so badly that voting in Trump seemed like a good thing to do? So there's this incredible space that has been opened. And last week, Republicans and Democrats came together to vote to try to make a good thing happen, to try to make the US's face to the world saner and less murderous. It was a tremendous, tremendous thing. And we don't even, there doesn't need to be huge agitation here. Like CNN, MSNBC, BBC, New York Times, they just have to keep following the story, because there's people who actually want to know, okay, what happened with that Senate thing? It's everything's a narrative. Everything's a serial TV show that we're following. And our news organizations, instead of giving us what we want, instead of giving us that sort of sweet Game of Thrones juice, in our Yemen and Saudi Arabia cereal, they're giving us this retread Price is Right garbage with the Russia. They're giving us the same Russia game show that we've seen forever, and it's tragic. And yes, this may seem like an aggressively angry title, but yes, I do believe that the choice to trot this out again is killing Yemeni children. I think that this is slowing down and stopping a very important thing that is happening. Now, is it conscious? That I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. There's people on Twitter who've pointed out that this group, that the Senate report published from is like your standard group of, deep state or permanent government or blob people, people who worked for the intelligence community or State Department and like to produce stuff that, keeps people from challenging anything. And that's what this retread of the Russian news does. Because last week we were really challenging things. We were really looking at what is this US relationship with Saudi Arabia? Why are we doing this? What is this war with Yemen? Why are we doing this? And instead today, we're focusing on that same Russia thing. And it's sad. It's tremendously frustrating. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I'll be back live tomorrow. But it's just so frustrating because we're at a really hopeful point here. We're at a time where we can move forward, and we've got a lot of people who just want to pretend that the only problem is Trump. The only problem is not Trump. Trump actually provides an opportunity to sort of change the way that things are. Not actually through Trump. He's completely incapable of anything. But the fact that he's there shows what a disaster has been produced. And it's an opportunity for change. And I think this sort of blob produced, this military industrial complex produced and promoted report that tells us the same thing we knew 2 years ago is not actually helpful. So yeah, just wanted to do that, because if I didn't do that, then what I was intending to do tomorrow would have been about this, and that wouldn't have been cool. So maybe I'll take a question or two, but I'm gonna take a whole bunch of questions tomorrow. So yeah, does anybody agree with me on that? Let's see, Brexit, man. Okay, actually, I think I have hijacked. I'm at mom and dad's place, and I have hijacked my mom's computer, and she just came home, so I'm gonna let that go. How's that for getting ahead of any critiques of this video? Yep, I'm totally doing this from mom and dad's basement. And thank you for showing up. Tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time, I will be answering questions and stuff. Just wanted to get that out there. And I will be a little less heated tomorrow. Thanks so much. And thanks for showing up. And please subscribe and all that. You're back. Cool.